Hi everyone, my name's Sarah and this is my channel So Sarah Sewed. Today is a slightly different video to usual. I have done one of these in the past before, but not for about a year. And it will be a week in my sewing and making life. It is Good Friday, so the Friday before Easter, and I am on school holidays. I actually haven't had 2 days off in a row since the middle of January because I've been working every Sunday on school musical rehearsals, and that is finished. So I am really excited to have a nice chunk of time off. I am currently packing to go away with a friend for the weekend, and we are both planning on sewing and knitting and just relaxing for the next 4 days. So I thought you might be interested to see what we get up to, or at least what I get up to. So we're heading down to Point Leo, where my parents own a beach house on the Mornington Peninsula. So I'll show you a little bit of the scenery around there. But I will share with you a little bit more about what my projects are when I get there, because I have started to pack things up. So I'm really looking forward to getting down there and getting started, and I'm really looking forward to sharing what I get done with you. See you soon. Hello again, here I am now down at my parents' beach house. I should mention my children have gone away with their dad for the weekend, so it is just a really nice opportunity for me to relax, just with a girlfriend who's here, and she's brought her sewing machine as well. So we're planning on having a really nice, relaxing time. We've been for a really nice long beach walk, which was beautiful. And now we are about to settle in just to start relaxing. I'll probably do some knitting on the couch, and I'll show you what I'm working on. I have a friend who's having a baby pretty soon, and I am making a little cardigan for this little baby girl. This is a pattern that my mum recommended to me. She made one of these for my little boy. He's now 6 years old, but it was my favorite newborn cardigan that I had when he was a little baby. And it's the Fuss Free Baby Cardigan by Louise Tilbrook Designs. And it uses a DK weight yarn. I bought this wool especially for this project. And just one skein of this beautiful white gum wool from Tasmania. And I believe this one's hand dyed by August Bird, I think, but I will put all the details in the description box. It is so beautifully soft. So far I've just been doing the top section. You can see how it's coming together, and in a couple more rows I'll be separating the sleeves off, and then it's just going to have quite short little sleeves, this cardigan. So I don't think it'll take too long. I think I've only been working on it for a couple of nights so far, and it's just beautiful to work with because it's so soft and a pretty simple pattern. So that's coming along nicely. I also brought a few sewing projects with me. The first one I was intending to make as part of the Sew Frugal 23 in March, but I did not get around to it. It's just a pair of pajama shorts, and the pattern is by Life So Savory. I think it's just called the Free PJ Shorts or something like that. And I am using a purple, I think it's a rayon jersey, that I got from Spotlight a little while ago. I used this to make my niece a little dress last year, and I had a lot of it left over. So I think this will be really comfortable as a pair of pajama shorts. So it's still just attached to the pattern pieces at the moment. Recently I finished making my pajama top, which I did make for the Sew Frugal challenge. So my machine is currently set up with a pink and a purple. They're not even matching. I think my top thread is a pink, and then my bobbin thread is some kind of purple. And I'm just going to keep them exactly like that. My jersey needle is in the machine, so I thought, perfect. I'm just going to keep going with the exact same setup for my next project. So that will be the next thing I sew. And I might pop in a little later and let you know how I go with those before I go to bed tonight. See you later. Hi again, it is Saturday morning now. Last night I had a lovely evening where I mainly just knit and watched TV. I got up to one of my favourite parts of a knitting project, which is when I get to separate the sleeves from the rest of the body. So that's where I'm up to now. You can see the sleeves are on some waste yarn, and now I'm just need to knit for about 4.5 inches under that underarm seam, and then do a bottom band. So it's coming along nice and quickly, this project. I'm really enjoying it. So that's my knitting project. This morning I've been working on some sewing. Now these are a really quick make. They are the Life So Savoury free pajama shorts pattern. And I've almost finished them. The only thing I haven't done, and I won't be able to do, is insert the waistband elastic because I forgot to bring any. But you can see they're all sewn together. Everything's done except for putting the elastic in, and then there's obviously this big hole there where I'm going to be able to thread the elastic through, and then I'll put a little label and sew it up and it will be finished. So I won't be able to do any more of that this weekend because I don't have the elastic, but that will be a really quick finish once I get back to Melbourne. We're planning on going for a walk before lunch, and then this afternoon I think I'm going to get started on some cutting for a quilt. If you watched my recent plans video, I was talking about participating in a quilt along, the Charade Quilt Along, hosted by Mitzi from Jittery Wings. I love the look of this quilt. It is very modern improv kind of look quilt, but I wasn't really sure about whether my colors that I have at home from my Fat Quarter collection would work, because most of the fabrics I have are prints, and Mitzi said specifically in her instruction video to avoid prints. So I was sort of thinking maybe I wouldn't use it after all, or make this pattern after all. So the whole idea behind using just prints is that each small bit of fabric that you cut out just reads as one single color. And then I had a really helpful comment from a viewer from my last video that suggested that maybe I cut out the pieces and then separate them into colors. So for example, I'll show you. So at the moment, this to me looks kind of like that greeny mint colorway. But if I was to cut out, for example, a square, and I ended up just with this, it might end up going into the pink pile because it might actually end up being read as kind of a pink piece of fabric. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And so that's what I started thinking about that might allow me to use these fabrics. I did join the Facebook group where people are sharing their fabric choices and how they were getting along. And I did continue to sit back because I just wasn't sure if I was going to participate and potentially use fabrics that I wasn't happy with in the end. And then I saw someone post a picture of, and she'd been using basically all prints, and it looked amazing. So that really gave me the confidence to maybe go ahead after all. And then I thought perhaps just to give myself that little bit more confidence that my prints will work, I decided to buy some coordinating solids. So these fabrics, most of the fabrics that I'm using are from a Tilda bundle, and the collection was called Apple Butter. And then I found a store that had a set of, I think it was 10, could have been 12, coordinating solids that went with the Apple Butter collection. So I'm going to be picking out the pinks and the greens from the solids and mixing those in as well. Now they were supposed to arrive on Thursday. I did order express post, but they did not arrive. So I haven't got those to cut out. I'm assuming they'll arrive on Tuesday instead after Easter. But I can get started on ironing and cutting out all of these fabrics, and that's what I'm planning to do this afternoon. I'll show you what I've ended up deciding on. Lots of these fabrics are from that Tilda collection, but and the other ones are just fabrics that I thought would work, just that I could mix in from my own other random Fat Quarter fabrics that I have collected over the years, and then a few scraps as well. I decided rather than using the whole of the Apple Butter colorway to just focus on the pinks and the greens with a little bit of the mustard. So that's pretty much my color selection. So then I'll have a couple more pink solids to add in, perhaps another neutral, and then a couple of greens as well, and perhaps another bit of yellow, mustardy yellow. So, and then I had a couple of little rifle paper prints that I thought would work as well. This gold spot, and I've got a mint one too, just scraps because I have used those in other projects, but I thought they could work as well. So I'm actually pretty excited about that. And yeah, I'm going to get stuck into the cutting this afternoon because I know that is a really, really long and tedious process for me. So I'll let you know how I go with that later on. Again, everyone, it's now Sunday morning, Easter Sunday, and I'm having a pretty quiet day today. It's pretty cold. I will get out for a walk at some point later on, but so far this morning all I've done is sit on the couch and knit. I do plan to also continue to cut out my all of my pieces for my quilt. I made a really good start on that last night, but I do have quite a few to go. I was a little bit nervous about the cutting, but actually it's very straightforward, so it's going pretty well, and I'm excited to see how that comes together. I'm not sure if I'm going to do any more sewing this weekend. I did bring a couple more projects I could start, so I do have some bamboo jersey to make a t-shirt, or I also brought some linen, a linen rayon blend, I think it is, to try another Durban jumpsuit by Megan Nielsen Patterns. But I'm not sure if I'm going to have the energy simply just to even just lay it out and cut it. So my main goals today are to finish all of the quilt cutting. I'm definitely planning to do that, and then just see how far I get with my little cardigan that I'm knitting. I have knit a few more rows of that. It is getting, I've probably got another inch before it's time to start the garter stitch on the hemband. I'm working in stocking stitch at the moment, so it's pretty mindless knitting, perfect for sitting on the couch and watching some TV. So I'm sure I'll do a little bit more of that this afternoon as well. So I'll check in with you later and let you know how I'm getting on. Hi again, it is Monday now and my weekend away is almost at an end. We have had the most lovely time, heaps and heaps of sewing and knitting and lots of TV time as well. I've just got back from our last walk on the beach. It was pretty wild on the beach again today, but very invigorating as well. So I'll put some pictures in. I'll show you where I got up to with my knitting. So this is the Fuss Free Baby Cardigan by Louise Tilbrook Designs, and I have almost finished it. I've done the button bands on each side. You can see I've decided just to put 3 little button holes at the top, so it will be open down the bottom. I just need to now get double pointed needles and do the sleeves. Now I'm going to do the capped sleeves, so it's actually only 4 rows on each side. Then weave in the ends, find some buttons, and that one will be finished. So that one's almost done, and I'll be looking for another knitting project to move on to. So before I leave here, I am going to make use of Mum's Swift and Winder, because I've got this beautiful wool that I've decided I'd like to make into a beanie. So this one, as you can see, is from Yarns by the Bay. That is a very local to me hand dyeing business. And this one I received for Christmas 2 Christmases ago from one of my sisters. So I'm going to make a beanie out of that. I just love the colours. I'll try and hold it a bit closer for you. And the other thing I've spent a lot of time on yesterday afternoon was finishing the cutting of all my little pieces for the charade quilt. I have cut all of my strips into their sizes of the colors that I have. I am still waiting for a delivery of a few more solids to add in, but I'm completely where I wanted to be with my cutting for that quilt. So I am excited to receive the final colors and to get sewing on that in the next couple of days. So I will see you back in Melbourne tomorrow. Hi everyone, it's Tuesday morning now. I'm back at home in Melbourne and my children and I are enjoying our first official day of school holidays today. So the boys are downstairs having a little bit of screen time. I'm going to get them off the couch soon and go for a walk to our local shops and get some sushi for lunch. But I thought I'd update you on how I went with my knitting last night. So I finished all the knitting of my little fuss-free baby cardigan. And then I had a look through my stash this morning of buttons and I found these perfectly matching buttons. Oh, I just heard the doorbell and I really hope that's my fabric. I'm gonna go and check. Yes, the parcel I've been waiting for has arrived. Let's have a look at these colors. So this is a bundle of Devonstone solids to match with the Tilda Apple Butter collection that I am mostly using for my quilt. So I think I'm going to pull out probably the pinks. And I'll have a look at these mints and the green and decide what I want to add from those. I'll leave out the blue and the orange and save those for another project, but I'm really excited that they're here, and now I will be able to cut the rest of those strips out for the quilt and possibly start sewing those sections together tonight. So that was very exciting. So I will check in with you again later and let you know what we've been up to. Hi again everyone, it is now Wednesday night. It's really late and my phone's about to die and I need to go to bed, but I just thought I'd update you as to what I got done last night and also today. So last night, once my boys were in bed, I stayed up and I laid out all of my pieces for my charade quilt and started putting them into groups. So as you saw, my extra solids came and I chose 5 of those to cut up and add into the quilt. And then I decided to separate all of my fabrics into 4 main groups. So I went with dark pinks, light pinks, the minty greens and the yellows. And then I started to sort them into little groups of fabrics for this week of the charade quilt along. So this week we've got to take 3 of the sizes of fabrics and put them together. In the charade quilt pattern, the pieces that we're using this week in the quilt along, or week 1, I'm actually a week behind, are the A, B and C pieces. And I have just gone through and made little groups of A, B, Cs for each of those color groups. So I've got 30 in each group. So it took me quite a while. I've just pinned them together at this point. I was going to start sewing tonight, but I haven't yet. What I did today with my children, I took them to a play centre, met up with a few of their friends from school, and we were there for over 5 hours. So that was fantastic for them. They had a great time. I got a really nice chat and catch up with some of the other mums from their school. But there was one thing I was wishing I had done before I went, and that was cast on a new knitting project, because it would have been perfect to have those hours of knitting at the same time while I was chatting. Tomorrow I'm taking my boys into town. We're going on the train and it's quite a long train ride for us, about 40-45 minutes. So I want to definitely have a knitting project to do while I'm on the train tomorrow. So rather than doing any of the sewing for my charade quilt tonight, I cast on a new knitting project. So you will have seen when I was at the beach house on the weekend that I wound up a ball of yarn, and that is what I'm using for this Musselburgh beanie by Isolde, I think is the name of the designer. So I had to learn a new cast on for this, and it took me a little while to get it. But actually it wasn't the casting on that was the trickiest bit for me. It was just how fiddly the double pointed needles were at the start of the project, because there were only two of the needles had 2 stitches on them and the other one had 4. So just trying to figure out where all the needles went and which way, and without turning the project over and getting it all twisted up was really tricky. But I persisted, and here we have the start of the beanie. So it's coming along quite nicely. I was hoping to get it onto circular needles because I find them a lot easier to travel with and take them on the train, and I'm not so worried about the stitches falling off the needles, but I think that will be okay. And I'm looking forward to doing a little bit more of that on the train tomorrow. So I'll check in with you one more time tomorrow evening and let you know how I've gone with that and whether I've got any sewing done tomorrow as well. But that wraps up my Tuesday and Wednesday. Hello again, everybody. It is now Thursday night. It's really late. It's almost 11:30 at night, and I am feeling and looking very tired. I just wanted to say hello one more time because this is the end of my 7th day of sharing all of my making with you for the week. As I mentioned in yesterday's update, I was going on a train into town with my boys today, and I wanted to take my knitting with me, and I did, and I was so pleased I did, because I was on the train for about an hour and a half altogether. So I got quite a few more rows of my Musselburgh hat knitted up. I'll show you how far I've got now. I'm off the double pointed needles and onto a circular needle now, which makes it so much easier for me to knit, far less fiddly. I'm really enjoying how that's coming together and loving the colours of this yarn, especially when I get these little pops of the brighter turquoise. I'm really enjoying that. So I've just done the last increase of this beanie, and now I'm getting to do just rows and rows and rows of knitting. Which is the perfect project to do in front of the TV or on the train or when I'm taking my kids somewhere and they're playing. So that's going to be a great project to just have with me wherever I go. I also did a little bit of sewing this afternoon of my quilt pieces. So once we got home from our big day in the city, we all just had a little bit of relaxing time. The boys had some screen time, and I went to the sewing machine and started sewing up these CAB pieces for the charade quilt. So there's 5 different size pieces in this quilt, and this week, in the week 1 of the charade quilt along, which I'm actually a week behind, but week 1 is sewing your CAB pieces together. So that's an example of one of them, and I have sewn up about 45, and I've pressed them all as well. So I'll put a picture or a video in of all of those all laid out. So I'm starting with the dark pinks and now doing the light pinks, and I'll hopefully do some more of those tomorrow. I'm supposed to, by the end of this week, or to keep up with the quilt along, I should, by the end of this week, have done all of these 120 CAB pieces and then another 120 ADA pieces. There's no way I'm going to get all of that done. And then Saturday, the new week begins with sewing up the whole block. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to get to catch up at any time soon. It's much harder to find the time to fit this sort of thing in now that the boys are with me, and we're trying to find activities to do and things like that. So we'll see how we go. But perhaps if you're following me on Instagram, you'll see a little bit more of my progress there. So it's been quite a chatty video today. I hope you've enjoyed following along with my week of knitting and making, and I will look forward to sharing with you how these projects turn out in my upcoming videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.